And the people who know the Furrow know that they can trust the information that we present. They can trust that it is presented without agenda. One of the things that sets us apart from perhaps other sponsored publications is a fiercely defended editorial independence from John Deere. And since I believe we promised three takeaways, there's one. Back in the early 90s, when I was starting in this big business, ag journalism was fighting something of an internal battle over how to treat the dreaded sponsored editorial. I, along with every other editor for many of the other farm magazines at least, was expected to identify revenue-generating opportunities in addition to handling our editorial duties. More often than not, those opportunities involved a chemical company, a seed company, an equipment company, promoting their products by capitalizing on the reputation of the magazine, a reputation which, thanks to stunts just like these, was only slightly better than that of the manufacturers themselves. Readers, of course, were not fooled at all, and quite a few ag publications had to take a step back and figure out how to regain the trust of their readership. In candid moments, my colleagues in ag journalism and ag editorial will tell you that that is a battle that is still going on to some extent today. And certainly it highlights what has always been one of the thorniest issues in B2B publishing. How do you maintain the appearance of impartiality when your advertisers are doing things that are truly newsworthy? That's never been a problem for the Furrow, at least not in the modern era, not in the post-war era. For one thing, John Deere is the only advertiser, so that helps. Also in that time, I would be very surprised if we mentioned the words John Deere in the editorial space more than half a dozen times. Joe wrote an article recently, the 7 thoughts that'll change your content marketing strategy. Number 2 was go 6 months without mentioning your company or your product. We have probably gone 6 decades only mentioning John Deere a handful of times, and only then when it was absolutely necessary to the story. Our readers recognize that, they appreciate that. In our own surveys, we are consistently ranked very high for believability and for a lack of bias, and we take that very seriously. Certainly nobody in this room needs to be told what a fragile thing a reputation is, and what has taken us 120 years to build would only take a fraction of that time to destroy if, for example, we were to start featuring only John Deere customers in the editorial space. That's why when I am in planning, she's got the leaping deer. That's fantastic. That's great. That's great. When I'm in planning sessions with the field team, the fact that a potential source may run an all Deere fleet of equipment could be a mark against that source. At the very least, we would do our best to downplay the fact of their equipment ownership. We would likely not use photography that prominently depicted their equipment. Certainly no, Captain Morgan on the tractor. We wouldn't refer to their equipment in the story unless it was absolutely necessary, and even then, the bar for determining whether or not the equipment is relevant to the story is higher when we are talking about John Deere equipment. You would be forgiven for thinking that it is a near constant battle with our marketing folks that we have to fight, that we have to keep the guards at the gate to keep out the people with new tractors to talk about, or the folks who say, I've got a customer you have to interview. But our departmental leadership and our executive leadership understands what we do, and they strongly support how we do it. Our magazines go to the CEO and to the corporate officers. They do read them, they do comment, and that really speaks to what really is the second of our critical components, and that is executive support. I am fortunate in that many of the battles that are typically fought by a company publication were fought for me back in 1895. Our return on investment in the magazines has never seriously been questioned, at least to my knowledge. Part of the reason for that, a big part, is the story that we have to tell, the numbers that we can quote. Tens of millions of impressions annually for John Deere products and services. Now, I know impressions is the new dirty word. I listened to the talk this morning. Apparently shares and engagements are the new dirty words too. But tell me if you would like to be able to quote numbers like these. In a typical year, 45% of our readers, almost half of our readers, read every single word, including the ads, in every single issue. Almost half, every word, every issue. Almost half have gone to Deere.com to find out more about a product or service that they have seen advertised in the Furrow. Over a third have gone to a John Deere dealer after seeing a product or service advertised in our magazine. And 90%, 90, say that they find out about new products and services first from our magazine.